Hi, I'm Shimelle Laine, and if you're just joining me for the last several days, I've been working on a Project Life spread using mostly this 6x6 paper pad, and I'm coming to the end of it now, and I'm working on the right hand page the 3x4 pockets across the middle. So you can see all the cards so far if you want to scroll back and have a look at the earlier ones. And for this row, I have two slightly bigger pictures and one really small picture, two bits of journaling that I wanted to include. So one that goes along with that, that small picture, and then I wanted a big journaling card in between the two photos so that I could put anything that applied to either of those images all on one card rather than having to try and cram my writing in with the smaller ones. And I started by looking at what pieces of paper I had left over from what I'd used elsewhere on the spread. So I still had a 3x4 card of this cream and black, and I had the journaling box, it's cream and black, and this is not from the 6x6 pad, it's smaller in the 6x6 pad, so this is from the 12x12 sheet, which is all cut apart 3x4 boxes. And then I chose two more aqua or turquoise prints to coordinate with everything else that's on the spread so far, and pick up that little bit of pink with the journaling card and this pattern paper. And just like the facing page, what I wanted to do is to take those four backgrounds, put them really close together, and just have a look and see if I like this balance aesthetically. I like the colors, and there's one thing that could go either way for me, and that's the use of these two papers that are similar style in that they have lots of icons all over them. And I wouldn't always want to put them right next to each other, but knowing that I'm going to put some big elements on top of them, you're not going to see much of the icons here. It's mostly going to just be for color and a little bit of texture. So in that case, I'm okay with it. And then the icons on this one are going to be a little bit more visible. I'm going to start on the right hand side and work my way across, and hopefully it'll all come together pretty quickly. I've been doing brown ink on the edges of the cards all the way through this spread, so I'm going to continue that here. And this is from the cut apart sheet that on the 12x12 is 4x6, but in the 6x6 is obviously a little bit smaller. This is from the first collection, but it ties in with the stamp, roller stamp that's in the True Stories collection. So I'm going to bring that in just a second. Let's figure out which way up this goes. I think it looks best that way. So with my roller stamp, I'm going to add phrase just underneath there, and then that's in brown ink to match everything else. With brown ink on there, I need to add some turquoise to this one, and I wanted to use this turquoise phrase sticker, which is from True Stories, but the turquoise is just the same shade, a bit, well, it's the same color but more saturated. So I want to use that here, but it's too wide to use this way, so I'm going to chop that into two stickers. And just add a tiny angle so that there's a bit of motion in this card that has quite a lot of big blockiness to it. And I think a little bit of room there to add in some gold. If that, no, that one's too big. I think this one's going to be too big as well. Yep. Okay, so not the chipboard hearts, but possibly some other elements. I do have this one that yeah, this one will work well here because of the black in the print. So this was one that I had planned to use on another page and then changed my mind. So that's cut from a Project Life card that looks like this, but just with a little punch there. So I'm going to make my way across, and mostly want this one centered but up at the top a little bit so that I can just add something to the bottom. And I think I might bring in that label punch again. Just a question of which paper. I think I'd like to bring in that diagonal stripe that I used toward the beginning of this whole little series, but I need to see if I have any of it left. Where is it hiding? Found it, so I can punch. Yeah, punch the two of those because I might use the other one elsewhere. And I think maybe better tucked underneath rather than on top because then it'd cover up his little feet. But underneath. Actually, that feels too heavy. Maybe this one is the better option. I'll add some ink to the edges, and I think maybe I bring in the pink on this one by punching a heart, or I could have those enamel hearts that I used a lot on the facing page. Yeah. So one of those can go on here. I have a feeling that that on the camera is probably going to look like you can't really read it, but I can read it just with my eyes here in real life. So there we go. Do I want anything else in that one? I really don't. I think I want that one to be quite simple. So keep moving. This one's going to be the journaling, so I'll do that one last. And then since I have that one, maybe I'll alternate and put a tag, or sorry, a label above. If I bring this down, and I'll punch another of the very narrow labels. And ink the edges and put this at the top, and I've even got one more of those little pink hearts, so I could add that too. So those two will coordinate then, and I just need to add the journaling in between that's going to explain what's in those photos. I want this journaling card to pull the two sides together, so I wanted to include the extra color. So the writing here complements both photos and kind of puts everything into perspective. And then I wanted to bring in that big label shape that I'd used before that didn't work out on these two cards. So I punched it from the paper that I used on the facing page and then used those little cameras. So both of those are items that I'd already used. I'm just punching them or cutting them from my scraps, and it helps me add some continuity of the different visual elements, the motifs themselves. Also, I don't need to buy more embellishments to keep making everything fit together, and gives me a bit of cohesion across the whole thing. So I also wanted to add some gold here. I have that chipboard heart to make it coordinate with the other pages. And I think it's going to need just a little something here. So I might have a look at my stickers. See if there's a word or something that would be a good fit. It turns out that there's a phrase in the right color that helps this story quite a bit in the True Stories sticker sheet. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller and tuck it underneath the heart there. And that's this whole row of 3x4 cards ready to go, I think. Oh, I've got that same problem down here that I had on a previous card. And so I'm going to solve it in the same way, and that is to just add some tiny stamping in brown ink. This is the phrase stamp again, and it says, "Always remember." I think I'll stamp that a few times. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that now. So those 3x4 cards all done, which means the next video I will finish the finish all the remaining elements and show you how it all comes together. If you don't want to miss anything, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.